Namaste, Jai Hind, you're on the Nation at 5. I'm Anand Narsimhan coming to you live from the newsroom here at CNN News 18. And we begin with news just coming through from Bangladesh. And it's quite worrying, ladies and gentlemen. Big news coming through as Islamist radicals have attacked a temple in the Purbadala market of Netrokona. This has happened on the intervening night of the 23rd and the 24th of this month. The radicals have vandalized idols to stop Saraswati Puja celebrations. We've got the pictures coming through these videos, which we are putting out here, very clearly show how these radicals have entered the temple. They have desecrated the shrine, destroyed the temple, damaged the temple premises. The attack happened on the night of 23rd January. The Indian government has also gotten involved. The local High Commission there taking cognizance. Top government sources are telling CNN News 18 that this is nothing but the latest in a spate of crimes which are against the Hindu community in Bangladesh, attack in temples, and it's on the rise in the recent past, especially through 2022. And that also brings across or raises a lot of concern because despite Sheikh Hasina and her disposition being friendly and also assuring that the radicals will not be given a free run, the fundamentalists seem to be gaining ground in Bangladesh. This is the latest coming through. They have attacked the temple in the Purbadala market of Netrokona. This is the latest coming through. We will try and go across to our guest straight away. Major General Dhruv Katoch is with us, Director, India Foundation, and Pathikrit Pai, security analyst, also with us. Namaste, gentlemen. First to Pathikrit, a series of attacks that we've seen right through 2022. And this only seems to be rising. With every Hindu festival, there is some shrine or the other, some temple or the other that is desecrated, some pandal, and absolute disrespect. And invariably, the perpetrators tend to get away. The local police reacts, they don't act.
First of all, Anand, Hindus, somebody said it right, are the new Jews of the world, and temples are their punching bags. Unfortunately, wherever they find it difficult to settle scores with India, the radicals, extremists have always targeted temples and Hindus. There's a surprising element in what happens in Bangladesh. In Bangladesh, wherever there is a desecration of a Hindu temple or something happens, even if a perpetrator is caught, he is termed as mentally unstable. And on that pretext, he is let off. He's always, this is the norm. Secondly, even though the regime of Sheikh Hasina is extremely pro-India, but there are elements within her party itself who, for the sake of making sure that their reign does not go away and their stranglehold on the country does not go away, they have allowed a lot of elements to do things in the name of normal petty fights. They give a communal turn to it. And we know what happens in Pakistan. That's a given. For India government, it's a complex challenge whether to go all out against government of Bangladesh or whether to keep on engaging them. I think the bigger problem, Anand, is that Hindus of this country has never identified with the plight of Hindus of other countries. That is a major problem. The problem is that, successively for decades, temples in this country has been weakened, emancipated. Our funds of the temples have been taken away by state governments, and that's why the organizations that the church and the Islamic communities have to fight for anything that happens to their religion or people of their religion in other countries. That's something that you don't find in this country, in India. Unfortunately, Hindus often find it very difficult to associate themselves by terming Hindu. They would say that I associate ourselves with India, and there's no doubt about that. But to the moment somebody asks them to associate themselves with the issue of Hindus in other countries, somewhere they start feeling that, I might be tagged as communal and not secular enough. So this kind of a taboo culture that has started probably in the last 30, 40 years, education system is also part of it, is one prime reason that things don't happen the way it should have been in terms of taking a stand. Government is doing its part, but the government has its own complex challenges.
Taking a stand in the interest of Hindus cannot be termed as bigotry. You are not talking down any other faith. You
I
are
agree.
talking
Yes.
the interest. You are talking about the interest of a community or a faith, because vandalizing any desecration of any religious place, any place of prayer or worship, is condemnable, and there has to be an equivocal condemnation of this. But
Yes.
General Katoch, as I come across to you, let me ask you this. Is the Awami League losing grip? Are the fundamentalists on the rise? Is the JMB and the other organizations which are also getting hyperactive in Assam in our country, Are they gaining ground there? Pathikrit believes that there are elements within Sheikh Hasina's party and outfit itself who are allowing a free run for these radicals because they want to stay in control. But is there another dimension to this?
Thank you, Anand. Anand, yes, I think there is another dimension because whenever within Bangladesh there is the the desire to attain power, to get into control, and the opposition there takes the support of the Jamaat, and the Jamaat has always been violent and anti-minorities. If you notice that even in 1971, when the liberation war took place, it was the Jamaat which was fighting the people of Bangladesh. And they have continued to do so. And once post 1975, those activities continued. So we find within Bangladesh, a large section of that society has radicalized. It is not simply a question of a political party. A large number of Muslims in Bangladesh have radicalized, not to the extent of Pakistan, but certainly to a very large extent, where in pockets they create violence. And I think it has become a fashion now to hit at Hindu temples. The discussion which was taking place earlier between you and Pathikrit let me put my thoughts into that also. You see, since 1947, for a very long time, when atrocities took place in Pakistan, and including in the present day Bangladesh, India kept quiet. As a government, we kept quiet. That was the whole point. And the media never raked it up again, perhaps due to lack of knowledge or for whatever reason. It is only now that it is being raked up. I think it is important because when all such incidences take place, if India does not speak, then the host country gets further emboldened where these atrocities are taking place. But for India, a double tragedy took place. When Hindu temples have been desecrated in India, I'm afraid India still did not speak. When a genocide took place in India in 1990, I'm afraid India still did not speak. So, what do the people of Pakistan and Bangladesh think? They think Hindus are soft targets. They can be killed in India. Then why can't we kill them here? I think we need to change our policies. Very strong messages need to be sent across. And as people told, no more. If you do it, there will be consequences for that country, and that consequences could be economic, political, diplomatic, or any other means. But there needs to be consequences, and the world community also take note. We are even finding out it is a shameful matter that in Australia this trend has started, where the third temple has been vandalized now.
Yes, third temple has been vandalized. There again, the intent is very clear. There is a bunch of Pak-backed vandals who are wanting to push a secessionist narrative, and they are trying to get some attention, desperately trying to get some attention ahead of certain agenda that they want to pursue towards the end of the month. So very clearly, it's not getting them traction, but they're targeting temples. Why should the Hindu temples be so easily targeted, and why should anything to do with India, Indian culture, Indian ethos be so easily targeted? And nobody thinks twice about doing that. These are questions which rankle. However, we have to move on here. Plenty of stories that we need to track over the next 45 minutes. So Pathikrit Pain and General Katoch will shift focus. Let's talk about the SCO meeting. The SCO meeting, which is going to be held in May this year in Goa. And India has sent a formal invite. Subramaniam Jaishankar said extending an invite to his counterpart Bilawal Bhutto. So far, there is confirmation that Bilawal Bhutto has received the invite, but there is no reaction from there whether or not Pakistan will attend. At a time when Shahbaz Sharif is raising the peace flag, but they still not wanting to drop the Kashmir narrative, a nation that finds itself crippled economically, going through this entire financial crisis, exposed as Terroristan, exposed as a nation which is not for minorities and even for other sects, many sects of Islam. This nation, should they be actually extended an invite as far as the SCO? And should they even dare to set foot in India? General Katoch, let me start with you. Should Bilawal Bhutto, who's a known Kashmir hawk, who's been actually propped up by the ISI to continually berate India and try to tom-tom this Kashmir narrative, not just in this region but also in the West, should that person be entertained?
On this particular issue, because SCO has got nothing to do with the dispute between India and Pakistan or what is currently happening in Jammu and Kashmir. It is a different body with a different set of purposes. And I think as India has extended that invite, whether Bilawal Bhutto comes or not, that is his choice. But I think from our side, the invite has to be extended to all member countries and to state that one country with whom we have a difference will not be invited. I don't think that will be appropriate diplomatic behavior on our part. So the question is that, okay, Bilawal Bhutto, he's been sent the invite. In my assessment, I think he will come. And in my second assessment, I don't think he will talk about Jammu and Kashmir during his stay in India.
But could there be ulterior designs? This is the man who waged this campaign against Nawaz Sharif in 2016, where he said, Modi ka jo yaar hai, wo gaddar hai. This is what he went around saying in POJK and also in other provinces of Pakistan. Pathikrit Pain, should this man be allowed?
Anand, meetings of multilateral forums are like World Cups. Whether we like it or not, you have to invite all the member states. And so by that standard, by default, by that norm, Pakistan would have to send an invitation. But after his outburst against the Prime Minister of India in United Nations, I think Bilawal Bhutto knows what is waiting for him. He might be hounded in India as well. So I don't know whether he would come. I am not sure. But yes, I think that there are stringent norms that he would also be aware, because if he does something in India in terms of raising some nonsense that he generally does, then there will be consequences. And the consequences today is no more just about what India does, but also the kind of clout that India has, whether it's on IMF or other countries, in terms of completely drying up whatever little flow of money is going into Pakistan right now. So I think he would be, if at all there is a bureaucracy still working in Pakistan, he would be briefed properly that here don't make a mess because a lot is at stake. I think that is the reason, Russia would also be there, China would also be there. So from that perspective, it is important to understand that while we extend the Greek...
Can we ever expect them to behave? If a Prime Minister of Pakistan and Imran Khan could not behave at the UNGA, how do you expect a Bilawal Bhutto to even behave at an SCO? That's another question. Does he even have the maturity for that? And he's somebody who's called some very deplorable terms. Our Prime Minister, he's addressed him with some very deplorable terms, terms which have got no basis itself and absolutely devoid of facts. Why should such a person be even entertained? Should that person not be persona non grata is another question. There is no intent to cooperate, because can trade and terror go hand in hand? Is another question that rankles. But we've just got more information about this nation that is in absolute financial doldrums. There is no end to Pakistan's economic woes. News coming in, and this is the CNN News 18 exclusive, where the IMF or the International Monetary Fund has refused to visit Pak. They've held a virtual review meeting. The Pak finance team held a meeting on the 9th, and that was, they held the 9th review meeting. Then this was held on Tuesday. The IMF has set 2 conditions for financial review and fresh loans. The IMF has asked Pakistan to apply new taxes. The IMF has asked Pakistan to pass 200 billion rupees mini budget. And they have told them that unless you measure up to the previous clauses, there is no extension of fresh loan, or nor are we coming down to visit. General Katoch.
Anand, I think Pakistan is in very serious trouble. Whether they get a loan from the IMF, which is highly unlikely at this moment, or not, I think they are in very serious trouble. And it arises basically from flawed policies which have been existing for many years now, for a few decades, I will say. It arises from a false sense of security by which they have used terrorism as an instrument of foreign policy. But having said that, I think these two were still manageable. What they will find impossible to manage, as they are experiencing now, is the third condition which has actually come up within Pakistan, that is political instability. And this instability has been caused by Imran Khan himself, because he, for whatever reason, is the most popular leader within Pakistan. And should an election be held today, whether Imran Khan is good or bad for the people, I'm not here to consider. But the fact remains, if there is an election held today, Imran Khan will win. And that is something which the opposition cannot accept. Neither can the army. So there is going to be a period of very great instability. His number 2 man has been arrested today. Whether Imran Khan gets arrested, I'm not sure. But the point is, this instability will not allow them to change. Number two, as far as the IMF condition of setting taxes, now Pakistanis are not even able to pay the present set of taxes. How far can you tax these people? Their electricity rates have jumped through the roof. Gas prices are astonishingly high. The Pakistani rupee is worth 1/3 of an Indian rupee. It is something like 300 Pakistani rupees are required to the dollar. Everything is going wrong for them, and they don't have the political power in the center to sort it out. I'm afraid this instability will continue, and India needs to keep a watch on what is happening in Pakistan.
Now we've got more inputs coming through on this front, where Pakistan is actually considering, the government is considering different proposals, including that of slashing the salaries of all government employees by 10% across the board amid this entire economic crisis. There are also talks of raising the costs of petrol and diesel by at least by 15%. That's also the talks which are currently on. At this point, as we speak, the Pakistani rupee stands at 231 Pakistani rupees to $1. And that's how their currency is slipping. The inflation rate, second highest in the region. So clearly financial trouble. But Pratikrit Fine, this nation, should it be taught a lesson? Should anybody give it a helping hand till it mends its ways?
Let me tell you, Anand, interestingly, the solution that IMF is providing right now to Pakistan is more complex than the problem itself. This will help in their implosion even faster because the prices. So what the government has been told is that you raise your taxes, you reduce to increase your revenue, and you reduce your expenditures, which means raising taxes would invariably make things more difficult to purchase, which means inflation will go up, and to reduce expenditure means they have to reduce expenditure on defense also, which the deep state will not want. That's a very, very catch-22 situation for them. See, IMF on the face of it cannot say that we will not give you any loan at all. So they're putting these complex conditions which the Pakistanis will not be able to handle at all. So this kind of a situation actually can be manageable, and India did manage 30 years back because the political environment and the security environment was good enough for foreign direct investment to come in. There is nothing like that in Pakistan. So on economic front, on ethnic front, on social front, on security front, there is an implosion of Pakistan happening where each is helping as a catalyst to make the other move further. As the economic condition becomes more difficult to manage, the idea of Pakistan as it is, if at all there was something, is actually going away, and Tehrik-e-Taliban will become stronger, sectarian violence will increase, terrorism will increase, and yet in spite of all these things, Anand, the rich and the elite will keep on buying expensive cars. In last 6 months, they bought 1.2 billion worth of cars, 2,200 vehicles, luxury vehicles, Pakistan actually allowed to buy by the elite. So I don't think the Pakistan as a country will survive. IMF has put a condition that there will be a free flow of dollar. Dollar can be used as a currency in Pakistan, which means they are doing away with the role of the Central Bank of Pakistan, which in itself is a very big question mark on the sovereignty and the control what Islamabad at all has anymore on the country of Pakistan.
Where will these dollars go?
Will take time, but it will happen.
See, खाने को आटा नहीं, तेल नहीं, गाड़ी में डालने के लिए there is no, now there will be no salary cuts are happening, payments have not been given to a lot of employees. Private companies and manufacturing outfits have dropped production by more than 30%. This is the status. But we've got more inputs coming through where their treachery continues. This military establishment which has an unending access to all sorts of funds, and it's literally sucking away the resources of Pakistan, is continuing with its treachery and propaganda exercise. They just seem to be obsessed with waging this proxy war. 3 wars they have fought directly under conflict where they've all ended up with a bloody nose, and 90,000 of them in chains in 1971. But they continue to wage this propaganda war. They can't fight us directly, so they will use all indirect and devious means. We've just got information that they continue to pump money into this propaganda effort. Pak handlers are running anti-India campaigns abroad. There are toolkits which are emerging on a daily basis, what their social media wings and their propaganda arms want to do. But we are also now given to understand that the ISI handlers are also getting elements, agents to infiltrate media groups in the Middle East and also in the West. These media groups operating in Turkey and Qatar, the Muslim Brotherhood's international headquarters in Turkey, the Muslim Brotherhood receiving financial backing from Qatar, anti-India propaganda that is being spread via social media and also news outlets. So this entire disinformation campaign is something which they are pumping huge amounts of money on. The anti-India propaganda being spread, like I said, via social media and news outlets. The reports also suggest, and these are intel reports which have been accessed by our investigations editor Manoj Gupta, that Turkey and Pak have formed an anti-India media front. Pak and Kashmiri journalists linked to anti-India campaign who have left this country and they are operating there in offices there and running these campaigns. Anti-India media front pushed by Turkey-based media outfit called TRT World. Anti-India propaganda pushed online across these Gulf nations. So this propaganda war they continue to indulge in. So the establishment which says that we want an unending pool of access to resources and will continue to drain the country at the cost of its people, at the cost of the economy, at the cost of its prestige, because we want to wage a proxy war, General Dhruv Katuch. And there are other nations involved, Turkey and Qatar.
Anand, as far as the information war is concerned, I must concede that as a military man, when I see it, Pakistan has done this remarkably well. In fact, this is the only thing which they appear to have done well. They have beaten India on two counts. One is the information war, and one is the population explosion, the rate they produce children every year. Their population, incidentally, has increased 7 times since independence, which is the fastest growing of any country on earth, and which is also a cause of their downfall right now. But getting down to this information war, it has been ongoing for a very, very long time, and they have spent huge resources in it. The aim is very simple. You know, even if you go to organizations like the BBC or the Washington Post, you can bribe people inside that. And Pakistan has been throwing money at various magazines, at groups, at journalists to toe a particular line. That attitude of Pakistan is not going, because on two issues they have completely lost the plot. Their attempt to instigate violence within India has failed completely, and their narrative on Kashmir has failed miserably across the world. So the Kashmir narrative now is a dead horse as far as whatever Pakistan is doing. It has got no credibility at all. But they will continue to instigate a particular vile type of toolkit propaganda. And that toolkit propaganda says that Muslims in India are not safe. Now, that is something which is quite surprising, because in a country like Pakistan, the Muslims in Pakistan want to come to India. In a country like Bangladesh, the Muslims of Bangladesh, if given a choice, will leave that country and come to India. But in a country like India, which is so peaceful and stable, there is not one Muslim in India who would like to go and live in either of these two countries or in the Gulf. So, you know, this propaganda of theirs to say that the Muslims in India are not safe is the most hollow. But unfortunately, it carries a little bit of weight in some of these countries. The Arab countries have become more sensible now, more sensitized now. Sensible is the wrong word. And they know the realities. So I don't think the Arab countries are going to fall into such a trap. But Pakistan has support from two major countries. One is Malaysia and one is Turkey. And China, of course, will continue to support them because it suits their agenda. However, as far as India is concerned, I think we are doing quite okay. And the world respects our view. We will continue growing stronger. We don't need to counteract any of this propaganda. The world has got eyes and they will see the truth for what it is. Anand.
Well, there is the involvement of Qatar also that has come to the fore, and not just with one media outfit, but another media outfit where nearly 50% of the funding goes from Qatar, and they operate in Britain. They have their headquarters there, and this outfit is also clearly running a propaganda machinery against India, and they are actually using a lot of elements and individuals from India to try and wage this disinformation war. Pathikrit Pain, but this money is being funded towards derailing India's, not just image, but also the perception. And these are critical years. This is the year of the G20 leadership for us.
Absolutely. And first of all, for the deep state of Pakistan, their use of terrorism or disinformation warfare as instrument of statecraft, they never depended on the government funds for it. They always had the narco business to take money from, and that's why there was never a shortage of money for them. Secondly, today, Pakistan is exactly doing what they have done from the 1970s and 80s, which means they are doing a dirty job of many other countries who otherwise would want to keep their hands clean. There are many countries today who do not want India to see India rise. Because if you look at G20 presidency, and I am in certain way engaged with one of the engagement groups, the kind of narrative that India is projecting in terms of emergence of India as a solution provider in several fields, the manner in which it is questioning many of the multilateral institutions which fail to stop wars, the manner in which war have become a business in itself or an end in itself. Many established institutions or industrial complexes who lobbied and made sure that geopolitical tensions can be made business upon, they're not happy with India because India is changing the narrative, and the global south of 120 countries are looking towards India to actually become their voice. So there would be countries, maybe some from the West and some from the Middle East and from the Far East as well, who would try to trigger problems. They may not directly do it, but they will do it with the country which has mastered that art. And that country is Pakistan. And so Pakistan is looking at it as an opportunity, a business opportunity with a dual advantage. If I keep these countries happy by doing the dirty work on behalf of them to pin down India, they might give us money. And at the same time, if something by default happens in India, God forbid, from our perspective, God forbid, then it somehow benefits Pakistan as well. So that's why I say that they will not stop doing it. A weakened Pakistan, a Pakistan on the verge of inflation does not mean that Pakistan will stop doing these things. They would continue to do these things. They would hope for a retribution by India, which they think perhaps might galvanize people of Pakistan to act as one, which today is no more happening. So a weakened Pakistan is an equally dangerous Pakistan, and we should be very aware of it.
Well, in any form, this nation is a headache for anybody who indulges with them or tries to engage with them, and it's a sinkhole. No matter how much money you pump, you'll never get anything in return, and nations are realizing that. Perhaps the establishment has also got to realize over in Pakistan that no matter how much they try to become the yes men of nations, other nations, and want to do their bidding, they will continue to remain vassals. They will never they will never rise in a stature beyond that, and they will never get the kind of money that they're expecting. Their prime minister is on record on video saying, "Aage bhi karza, piche bhi karza, upar bhi karza, niche bhi karza. I didn't want to beg, but I have no other option to beg." If a nation's prime minister is using this language in his addresses, in his speeches to his own people, one can understand the state of this country and what it's been reduced to in the last 7.5 decades. General Dhruv Katoj and Pathikrit Pain, thank you very, very much. We're going to take a very short break here on The Nation at 5. Stay with us.